All right, what's up, everybody? Stuart Anderson here. This is the Mi Duole Podcast, episode 111 with Greg Lowe. This is just a short introduction before we hear from Greg. Super grateful for Greg and the hour he spends with me, just telling his story, talking about his life, how he trains, how he got into cycling, some of his mentors and the people that have guided him along, not only his life journey, but also cycling journey. Really fun to hear about his time in Loaded. That's where Greg and I met the very first time. I was on the Geneva climb, and we talk a little bit about that almost 10 years ago when I met him. So really fun to hear from Greg. Grateful for his influence and leadership and just his friendship to all on the team. He is just an awesome guy, awesome businessman and family man. And this team is better in every way because of Greg. So hopefully you enjoy this little interview with him. We're working on 2025 kits, the design, the redesign. It's a big process. It's actually taking a lot more time than we'd hoped. Just a lot of refining and trying to find a kit that is not only fun, new, works for everybody, sticks with our brand, sticks with our colors. So it's a lot of work. We're grateful for Volet and thankful for them being patient with us as we work through a new kit for next year. So that's close. Get excited for that. Really looking forward to it. All right, that's it. No real team announcements or anything going on that's new other than just enjoy this episode with Greg and thankful for each of you. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 111. Interesting, Greg, about episode 111. I was actually supposed to interview Zach Colton, so he was the winner of Point to Point, but he got invited last week to race in UCI Marathon National Mountain Bike Race. So he canceled on us at the last meeting. I mean, minute. We let him out of it, though. We said, you're a professional. You can do whatever you want. So
right.
So look, you're episode 111. Congratulations.
Hey, glad to be here.
And that's a real background? That's not that is not virtual. Yeah, look at that.
My real background that I use. I work from home, so that's kind of all of my favorite stuff.
Nice, dude. Looks good. He's got so Greg has his Monster. That's the first thing we got to point out is the Monster can there, and then you've got that's the 10-year Loaded wheel that you would have got last year. Is that right?
Right. Yep. 2 years ago.
2 years.
In 22.
Nice, dude. And we're going to talk about that. Greg, besides Ben Brooks, I don't know anyone who has taken first place more. Greg, congratulations. That's incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. What a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So
awesome. We were just joking around kind of the end of the season. Greg was trail running. It's just like, what do? We can do anything we want. So sore legs from trail running over the weekend. What else you got planned this week, Greg? Anything fun?
This week we've got the NICA regional race, and we're at the Harriman course. So we're going to go out and pre-ride it, I think tomorrow night.
Okay.
And we'll talk about, I'm involved in the BYU construction management program. And on Friday, we're doing a big ride with industry leaders and students.
Nice.
And we're doing the crest ride up in Big Cottonwood. So
I've heard of this before. So you guys do the shuttle?
I think we are. I've actually never gone, so excited to go and see what it's like.
What? Wow. This is going to be, this is going to be magical for you. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, it will be. I am pumped.
Cool. So if you don't know Greg, I'll call you from the Utah County chapter. Is that okay? Is that a good way to describe it?
No, totally fair. Proud to represent.
So Utah County chapter, Greg and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we met in my first race in Loaded, and it was so funny because we were climbing up Geneva, and I'm with Chip, and we're chugging along, and Chip, was kind of my pacer. He was like, "Hey, don't be dumb. It's your first time. Like, don't go with the leaders." And we were like halfway through Geneva climbing. We meet Greg, and I was like, "Dang, dude, I wish I had a cam." I remember this like vividly. I was like, "I wish I had a camera." And Greg just pulled his phone out, snapped a picture. I wonder if I can even share. Look, I'm gonna share. I might as well. If you're watching the video, okay, here's my screen. So Greg put the picture of us in the document we're using. Dude, look at us. We were young bucks back then.
Yeah,
And
dude,
there's
that
Chip.
was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, man, almost 10 years. So that was the first time we ever met. Um, but I don't really
Yeah.
remember. I mean, it was over the years. We just saw each other at multiple races and rides and stuff like that. When did you like officially start wearing tell the story how you joined the team? Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
no. So, in I think 2020, right? We're all getting into Zwift,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I had ridden a few times with Corby and Josh down here, and I saw them on Zwift, and I saw that. I mean, I just saw the Mi Duole rides just kicking it up, and I remember just texting you and being like, "Hey, dude, I know I'm a Utah County guy. I'm close by BYU. I know that's not any of that's in my favor, but man, I would love to be a part of Mi Duele. I love what you guys stand for, and you were
Nice.
gracious enough to think about it and let me join. So it's been I think 4 years now.
Yeah.
So
Man, that was back in the day when we were like, right. That was when Zwift in 2020 was wild. That was
yes, it was
a lot of suffering. So very good.
so fun, so fun.
All right, so I asked Greg's wife to write this little introduction, which she did. It's very good. Although I'm not going to read it all. I think we will read it, and then we'll kind of dive into some of some questions. Is that okay?
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah, cool.
Greg Lowe is the VDC Subject Matter Expert, which I have no idea what that means at Autodeck. Okay, explain what that means.
Yeah. So if have you ever heard of AutoCAD?
Yes.
So AutoCAD is one of our products. So I'm a VDC subject matter expert, which is a virtual design and construction. So anything that's
Ah.
3D, right? So I help large general contractors all over the country, design teams get into and better implement their technology on the construction side. So
Okay.
I work from home and it's all with Autodesk, and I love the construction side, so that's what it is.
Okay, cool. All right, bachelor's degree from BYU. We see the BYU Cup in the background, very
Yep.
prominently displayed. Very good. And it's only fitting that he currently teaches in the construction management program as an adjunct professor. Can you talk about that? So you work at BYU too?
Yeah, so I've only been doing it for a couple semesters. I go and teach one class. It's the VDC class, right? All of the construction technology side of things. It's a high level class. It's so fun. The students are awesome. They're all just about to graduate. So it's really just sharing my industry experience with them and getting them up to speed and just diving into software. It's way fun.
Nice.
Love
Way
doing it.
cool. Way to go. All right, born and raised in Riverton with dedicated parents Greg and the late Jan Lowe. They made sure his needs were well met, which included a tiny red bicycle made available for him and his three other siblings. He first sat on that tiny red bike at age 3. Dude, that's young. That's a youngster on a bike, and hasn't
Yeah.
stopped pedaling since. Unlike so many kids then and now, Greg never made time to watch TV after school. He was too busy zooming around the neighborhood, either by himself or with friends. That's always a subject with my children as well. Like, just go outside. Very good.
Just go outside, man. Such great memories. I grew up right by the river bottoms
Okay.
there
I
between
know it.
Riverton and
Yeah.
Cooper. And, before there were houses, and man, we would just spend the whole summer, every night, riding through the dirt trails in there. We loved it. Such great memories.
So fun. All right, so recreational biking led to the discovery of mountain biking and then the swift, smooth world of road biking. He accomplished his first major ride, the MS 100. Dude, I did that too, but listen to this on a rental.
Oh
Rental.
man, dude. I trained on my mountain bike
No.
and then the day before went to Mad Dog Cycles in Provo, rented a road bike, right? And we get up there the next day and I'm just so excited, right? Like just
Mm-hmm.
loving it, so excited to be on a road bike, totally not fitted to me or anything, right? And the funny thing with the MS 150 is when you get into it, right? The split for the 100 is like 20 miles in, and you're like, dude, I feel great. I'm doing
Yeah.
the 100.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I was destroyed. I have never cramped and like it was horrible,
That's so
but
good.
totally fell in love with it.
Yeah. I remember I did that. That was mine and Kristen. We did the 75 miler with Jameson Rice. And I
Uh-huh.
think it took us like 6.5 hours to do
Yeah.
the 75 miler.
Oh,
It was so
oh, the
bad.
pain.
All right. So Greg says that experience guaranteed that he would never do that again, which the rental bike. He purchased his
Yeah.
first bike soon after. With his own set of wheels, he's ridden most, if not all, local races, including Ultimate Challenge, Iron Lung, Salt de Saint, Rockwell Relay, Tour de St. George, and over the span of 18 years, completed 11 loaded jazz, taking second once and first place 3 times. Greg spends some of his free time helping coach the local youth mountain bike team. Which school is that?
I one daughter races for Springville and my son races for Mapleton, and we're part of the
Okay.
Nebo composite team.
Oh, nice. Okay. Which he loves, especially since his 2 kids ride. When he's not at home in the hustle and bustle of managing various schedules and activities for 5 amazing kids, you can also find him either watching Survivor with his fabulous wife or taking his 2 doodle dogs to the park. And you'll know it's a good ride when he says it was magical. Dude, there we go. That's our podcast. That's the name. It was Is that your
It was
catchphrase?
magical. There's just something about the rides, right? When you get out there and it just, boy, magical. I don't know how it just, everything works. It's great. Love it.
Well, and
Yeah.
You and Richard are disciples of this early you guys get out early. You wrap
Early.
like the century around Utah Lake before it's even like 8 o'clock.
Oh, Richard is so fun to ride with. He's such a strong rider. And it's so nice to be able to get up early. And that was one thing I've really admired about the Mi Duole team is when I would head up to Salt Lake for work, because I worked for Oakland Construction and would go and ride immigration and would just be heading up and I'd see the Mi Duole team coming down.
Mhm.
And I would just think, man,
They're done.
that is so awesome that they're getting after it. And so, you know, Richard down here, he's just been a huge blessing, and getting after it early has kind of been our thing. I love it.
Nice. Anything you want to share about early childhood, family? Were you into sports, school? Maybe talk about just introduce your early family.
Yeah. So, like I said, grew up in Riverton. I've got 3 other siblings, so 4 of us. I'm the second. I grew up playing sports, football and baseball. Baseball from 5 years old till I was 18, and then football from third grade all the way through high school.
Nice.
Loved it. Loved going to Bingham. Was a great place. I grew up. Well, during the summers, I would mow lawns, and on Fridays we would mow churches. And Stu, I know you went to Olympus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we actually mowed the seminary grass there at Olympus High School.
Okay.
And I remember one day mowing the grass and I lifted up the mower to turn and it shot a rock right through one of the windows
No
and
way.
just kept going right. I didn't even know what to do, but loved doing that. And, apart from that, my mom really got me into the biking.
Huh?
Her and my aunt would ride all through Bluffdale, and I would follow them on my mountain bike. And just great time growing up. It wasn't as busy out there as it is now, and just loved it.
Awesome. Was there anything in particular where you were like, I'm riding my mountain bike? Like when you finished that MS thing, what were you like? Oh, I got to do this. Was it fun? Was it the pain? What was it that kind of drew you in?
I think when I got to mile 75, we met back up with the 50
I
with the
remember,
50 group.
right?
Yeah, and my mom did the 50
Uh-huh.
and we met up together and we did the last 25 miles together, and both of us, right? Just utter pain, cramping.
Mhm.
And I remember my mom just pushing me And it just created this love of the pain of cycling and being with my mom and pushing through and finishing. And I think we both got to the finish line and just cried. And we were just so glad that it was over. And I couldn't wait to do it again. I just loved as much as it hurt, it was just the freedom of riding a bike was just awesome.
I love that. I agree. Same for me. When you wake up, maybe just talk for real quick, typical day in your life. Like, what is your day to day? I know you work from home, but what does day to day look like for you?
Yeah. So my day, it really depends on the time of year. In the summer, like we said, it's an early morning bike ride. And then I'll get home. And if I need to help kids with school, get kids off for school or whatnot. And then it's, I'll work. And then it's really just kids stuff, right? Sports. We've got 5 kids and they're all either lacrosse, soccer, baseball, the mountain bike team, right? Our evenings are just always packed and we just stay super busy that way. And then in the winter time, it's trail running with my wife.
Nice.
We love getting out and hitting the snow up Maple Canyon and just getting out and loving the outdoors.
You guys must be local legends up Maple Canyon.
My wife, I'm sure she is, but there's quite the little group that goes up there all the time. Quite the little following. It's kind of a really well-kept secret of Utah County that not a lot of people go hit it. So it's great.
Nice. All right, let's do before we talk about Low T Joe, let's talk about just rapid fire questions. What bike? Do you have more than one bike? Are you riding? What bikes are you riding?
All right. So my first bike's a Fazzari.
Okay.
Right. I was so excited after that first MS 150. I remember walking through Costco one day and Fazzari was brand new and they were doing their little, how Costco does that. You buy their bikes or buy their stuff. And I walked by and I looked at my wife, I was like, I have got to get one of these bikes. So I got their very first bike version from Fazzari, right? And I rode that for so many years. And then upgraded in 2012, right? So forever ago to a Cannondale Super 6 Evo and loved it. And I rode that until this year. So I remember going to camp this year. It was so fun to see others on old Cannondales. I think the Britons were on some Cannondales. And, but I did this spring buy a new Super 6 Evo that I just love. It's awesome. So fun to ride.
That's fun. That's what I was riding in my picture. Yes, same bike.
Yep. Cool. You had a Cannondale.
But mountain bike too? You got a mountain bike too?
Oh yeah, I've got a Trek Fuel mountain bike. I've got a fatty that I'll ride in the winter. Nice. I mean, if we counted all the bikes, my wife would kill me. But I have a bike problem. Right? I'm sure most of us that are on this would know what a bike problem is.
Let's not call it a problem. It's a challenge.
Right. Totally. Yes. I still have my original BMX from when I was 8 years old, right? Still in my garage.
No way.
I just can't get rid of bikes. I love them.
Love it. Favorite local ride? Where do you choose to go?
Alpine Loop.
Nice.
My favorite. Love heading up that way. That and Squaw Peak. Love going over there, especially this time of year with the leaves. Awesome.
And when you do Alpine Loop, which way do you go?
I'll go up Sundance side.
Okay.
I love going up there and coming down AF. And it's funny, almost guaranteed every time coming down AF, you'll see a Mi Duole. So fun.
Nice. All right. Favorite place to travel?
I love St. George. Love going down to southern Utah. I love the Red Rock. We've had so many fun experiences with family there, from hiking or riding, whether it's been mountain biking or road riding. I love St. George. Just getting down there is great.
Me too. A perfect day for Greg. What does that look like? You're going to map out the most perfect day.
Perfect day. So I'll just share it. This was my most perfect day.
Oh, it's happened.
It's happened, right? Like this was just magical. And My wife, bless her heart, she is the best, right? I don't know how I lucked out to get someone so great. She is awesome. But we were in San Francisco, kind of for a work celebration. And so we were both there together and we rented a tandem bike and
What?
we rode across the Golden Gate Bridge, right? And
Yeah.
they were doing a big work bike ride kind of a thing. And it was the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, that was the first day. The second day, uh, we could do whatever we wanted. And I asked my wife, I was like, hey, we've got the tandem. Let's go for a ride. And, we got on it and my wife had no idea what we were in for. But if you've ridden in San Francisco, when you get across the Golden Gate Bridge, and if you work your way up to Mount Tam, right? So we get all the way up to Mount Tam on a tandem, and my wife is just terrified, right? This is not her thing.
Mhm.
But from the top of Mount Tam, we went all the way down through the Seven Dams area into Sausalito and then back through. It ended up being some 70, 75 miles. My wife was ready to kill me. She was right. She had not trained for it, but I was doing all the work. She was along for the ride, but there was some big canyon descents
Uh-huh.
and man, it was a dream to do that with my wife. Just totally loved it, but she was ready to get off the bike, and
I love
that
that's your perfect day.
it was
So
so great
good.
because it was like, yeah, not that my wife, she's so good.
Yeah.
She could have killed me that day. But man, for me, it was like she couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't stop us.
Stuck.
She was along for the ride. So it was awesome.
So fun. Nice. Besides that, any other real memorable uh days on the bike?
Um, you know, I think for me, just Loaded has been it's just packed full of really special memories.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's neat too, I don't know if you guys saw, if you follow Greg on Strava, one of the coolest things is, well, and I think this is the case with most, is family affair, which is super fun.
Yeah.
All the pictures from you this year is you with your crew. And I think that's, I often joke what makes that day different, special than whatever East Canyon road race. And it's like, well, along they all come and we kind of do this together. And even though it's brief, it still makes it kind of a special day for
Yeah.
everybody. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you've done it 11 times. Can we talk about it for a minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anything you remember from any of them that you want to just talk about?
I'll never forget the first one, right? I think for anyone that does Loaded, that first one's kind of a special experience.
Yeah.
I did it in 2006 was my first one. It was the year after Snowdonia. And and so there were so many riders in our group when we started that got snowed out the year before and they were in it, right? To
Right.
just kill this thing,
Crush.
crush it. And I had no idea what I was getting into. And I just remember being on that old Fazari with a terrible seat and just, going through Preston. You're feeling so great and strong. Oh, I'm going to hang with these guys. Man, did I get blown up. And then it was like, I rode by myself for the
Yeah.
next 150 miles after
It's
Strawberry.
the worst.
And it was like, I'll never forget, right? In '06, they didn't have the trail like they do now towards the end,
Mm,
and you're actually riding right through Jackson on the
right.
roads. And I remember getting to the end and seeing my dad with my little boy on a bike biking to the end.
Uh-huh.
And I got to the end, and my dad's like, hey, awesome, we did it. I was so glad it was over. I think it took like 12 hours. And my dad's like, perfect. Now we're just going to go back to where we parked, and it's 6 miles down the road.
No way.
And I just remember thinking,
You picked me up.
there's no way I'm getting back on that bike. I am done. And just had to call it. But it was that first one was super memorable.
I love that.
And then, I think meeting up with the Mi Duole guys, that's, like we talked earlier, that first one that you did where I saw you, I just remember thinking, man, if I can hang with these Mi Duole guys, this will be a fun ride. I'll never forget going up Strawberry with you guys and the joking and the laughing. Like it was a party. And I just remember thinking, these guys are so fun. And it just made for a great experience. And I remember one year we were coming down through just about to get to Salt River, and one of the Mi Duole guys cramped like crazy. I don't remember who it was.
Probably Adam Barker. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember giving him some electrolyte pills and just being like, here, dude, hopefully this will help. And just so many good memories with Loaded and going through.
So you won this year. Remind me when else, and it remind me when else you won. I mean, you've got this thing dialed after 11 times.
Dude, I love Loaded, right? Like it is such a part of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, this year, yes, won the category of the 45 plus B. But it's the B group, right? But there's still some really strong riders in there. Super fun. Last year I didn't do Loaded because we built a house and I had committed that while we were building it, I wasn't going to ride my bike because I just wanted to get the house done. And so totally put all the biking aside. We built our house because we built it like as a family.
Right.
We did all the framing, the plumbing, like everything. And so in 23, raced it and rode with Sean, and I went second and he was third. And then the year before that, 21 took first, and the year before that, 2020 took first. So,
dang, dude, nice.
It's been
what happened this year? Give us a little race recap of this year's. How did
man, this year was crazy because I hadn't been riding a whole lot last year because of the house. I just barely got on the bike enough to do the 5 Canyons ride, and it just killed me. And then, I was pretty discouraged of how out of shape I was after being off for 9 months. And so by the time I got back on when Jack put together the holiday ride, and so got back into it. And then it's just been kind of tough getting up to, shape for Loaded. And so going into it the week before, had a friend call and he was like, hey dude, I know a lot of the guys in your group and you just got to get in your mind that you're not going to take first. Like you can't compete with these guys. And I was oh, right. So I was like, hey, that's okay. I'm just going to give it my best. I love this ride, and it's a race, and I'm not going to back down, right? Totally in it to do what I can. So I've got the guys pegged, right, of who I'm watching. And as we're going, we had a really good pace up Strawberry. We make it over with 5 of us, or there were 8 of us. And man, when we got into Montpelier, they were so fast through the feed zone. They were like, I don't know if you guys know Steve Wilson, dude. That guy has it down, right? It's like an F1 pit stop, like crazy how fast this guy gets through the feed zones. Yeah. And we actually dropped Andy there, and unfortunately he didn't. I just never saw him. I don't know what happened to him. But there were 7 of us. We made it to Salt River. 3 of us got over in the front group, but the 2 guys, it was me and 2 other guys, and they just, when you're heading down Salt River, Loaded, it is game on, right? Like there you are all in, and these guys just couldn't. They couldn't do it. So we actually had to hold up and let the rest of the guys catch up. So there were 6 of us pushing through, and. It's what's so fun about Loaded is you kind of you create a bond with these guys you're riding with.
For sure.
And everyone was super cool. We had one guy that was kind of hanging in the back in the group that was riding with us. So he was kind of hanging in there, like not really working with us. trying to pull
Yeah.
wanting to race, but not wanting to do the work. But man, when we got into the canyon at Salt River, it was awesome. We ended up just being down to the four of us, and when we got to the line, it was funny. Two of the guys definitely weren't sprinters, and so it was me and Steve. And one of the guys came up, and that cat and mouse, right? It's so fun as you get ready for the sprint. And the guy comes up and he's like, dude, why are you guys slowing down? And the other guy's like, dude, haven't you seen their calves? Don't you know what they're about to do? And ended up in just a fun sprint with Steve. And I felt really good. And, it's fun when Loaded goes to a sprint, but it is so stressful, right?
Yeah. Dude, way to go. So fun. And you'd been there before. I just love that you've done it. I mean, that's a lot of times. Like 11 is no joke, especially starting in 2006. I mean, how old would you have been? Like 25? Like 20, I mean, you're
26.
Yeah, 26 years old. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Over that span, that's awesome, dude. Very good.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Can we talk about you posted this little picture of a bike is this in your house? Yeah, you want to talk about that? So I always think it's interesting to hear about how you balance it all. How do you put it all together?
Yeah. So the picture I sent you, this is in our hallway, and the bike hanging on the wall is it's a track bike, and it's from a really good friend. His name was David Lang, and David he passed away from cancer quite a few years ago. And I met David through work. He was a cabinet maker and was doing some cabinets for one of our projects. And as I got to know him, he really just brought cycling to life for me. He got me into the Tour de France. We would go and do these fun little time trials. And he just was such a fun guy. Ended up that he served a mission with my dad in Thailand. And him and a few guys in Southern California started the SSRCC Club, which is the semi-serious recreational cycling club. And
why did I not know that that's what that meant? That is so funny.
It's so awesome, right? Like they had the club. This was from years ago. We kind of resurrected it as a Utah branch of it back when we were doing the SSRCC Club. But Bob Emmett, if any of you know Bob Emmett from TBD, he was part of the SSRCC original crew. But this track bike is from David Lang, and it has an original SSRCC sticker on it.
Cool.
And one of the things David would always say is, I can do hard stuff. And he'd say Imua, which was kind of his tagline, which just means forward. And every time I see that bike hanging in our hall, and when he passed, his wife graciously gave me that bike.
Wow.
So it's really got a lot of meaning to me. And every time I walk by it, I think of him and how the joys, the struggles that come with cycling, and just, it's not my top priority, right? I've got a family with 5 kids and my wife, and just, I want to support them, but making time for riding a bike is special. And it's the hardest part, right? Balancing everything else to make it all work, but to still get on the bike is not easy. And I'm just grateful for him and his example. He was awesome.
Yeah. What was the word that he would say? What is it?
Imua. It's a Hawaiian word that means forward. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. I like that your wife allowed you to hang this bike in this very prominent location of your home.
Oh man, my wife, like I've said, she's so good. We really have bike stuff all over the house.
I love
it.
And
she's not a biker, right? She would much rather run any day. But between me and the kids, biking's just been a big part of our lives. And so anyway, It's fun.
When it comes to riding, racing, training, any mentors that how do you is there any big plan you have, Greg, when it comes time, or are you just out like, hey, I'm just gonna get miles and have fun? And I mean, how do you kind of plan um putting it all together and how you train?
Yeah, I used to try and do really structured training. Um, I find that as fun as it is, I lose the love of it. And so a lot of times I just love getting out. And I think for me, what helps a lot is just riding with guys that I know are going to kill me and kick my trash. And, like Richard Bourgette's one of those guys. He's that guy that just makes me work like crazy.
Yeah.
And so, uh, and all the Mi Duoles, right? It's so fun to ride with guys, whether it's on Zwift or when we've met up, just such strong riders. And I just love that. It's hard to try and balance a really structured training for me. And
Yeah.
so it is just getting time in on the bike. I have a little formula that I follow for Loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And as funny as this sounds, like this really does work for me. But the bottom line is this: the fourth week before Loaded and the third week before Loaded, you've
Okay.
got to hit 300 miles those 2 weeks.
All right. Okay.
And as long as I hit those 300 those 2 weeks, and there's a lot that goes into it with the eating and knowing the competition, right? I love digging into that race list,
Yeah.
but that's I for some reason those 2 weeks of 300 miles just
That
just
gives you the
tops off the
confidence. Yeah.
training. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. Fun. When you are uh riding with new guys, riding with new younger kids, any advice that you give to even people just listening to this? I mean, what have you learned over the years that makes not only a successful rider, but also just a successful human who does both of these things?
Yeah, I think I've learned that life really is just about people, right? The cycling's great, like love that, works great, but really in all of those aspects, it's about people. And when I am riding with the newer riders, it's just so fun to get to know them, to to learn who they are, and to talk about it's it's helping others, it's being kind. There's nothing that motivates me more in a ride than pulling somebody that's struggling.
Hmm,
And I
that's cool.
just I love for some reason it's just really motivating to me. And so there's that piece of it. But I also think just the mental aspect of I got this, I will not stop, I will be relentless, right? Like I think it, like in Loaded and all of these bigger rides, it really just comes down to it's your mind that does it, right? Your body can do it, right? You might feel like you're gonna die, you're not gonna die, but you just don't stop. You just got to keep at it, and I learned that from my mom. Just keep going.
I love that. When you think about, I want to just expand on that just a little bit. Is that the
Yeah.
same advice you give to the high school kids? I mean, is that because they are different than us, but is that what you tell them?
What I'll tell them, I love talking with our varsity riders because they're so strong, but yet some of them just lack the confidence that they can do it. And my advice to them always is, look, when it gets tough, I want you to say these two words 3 times. And it's I will, I will, I will. There
Hmm.
is no try. There is no I'm gonna do my best. It's I will. And I love encouraging them to just think, you know what? I will do it. I am gonna finish this. I am gonna compete. I will. And I love just that mental aspect of it.
That is so good. It's funny. I was talking with my little 16-year-old about um, sports psychology, right?
Yeah.
Because we mountain bike together. And then last year she did a research report I think it was English or whatever. And she's halfway through the research report. And I see sports psychology books on her desk. And I'm like, what are you? And she decided to do a research report on like the mental
Oh,
aspect
yeah.
of it.
Awesome.
It was so fun to to kind of dive into that together. So it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my most favorite parts of the sport as well
Yes. Yeah.
is doing that.
It's
Very
so
cool.
fun. And it's fun to talk about it with your kids, right? Like
It
it's
is.
so awesome. I love my boy was reading the book. Oh darn it, I can't remember what it is now. But one of those sports psychology books, and he's on a mission now, but at the time he was doing cross country, he was doing lacrosse, doing mountain biking. And it was fun to just see that light bulb turn on, man, there's a huge mental aspect to this.
Yeah.
So
I
it's fun.
I was kind of belly aching about doing point to point this year.
Yeah.
The week of, I was like, oh, why am I doing this? Like, this is gonna be so bad. And she sent me a text like Friday morning, and it said, "Your mind is your strongest muscle, Dad." And I was like,
Oh,
oh
nice.
man,
Oh, that's awesome.
it's pretty funny. Anyway,
That's
how
great.
the tables turned there for that brief moment.
Yep. Yep. Totally.
When you look at your own life, I mean, you've talked about your mom, and I know how special she is to you. Any mentors or motivation or things that you've learned about, just whether it's this in this sport or just in life that you kind of carry with you?
You know, I think I'll share too, and I will just highlight my mom again because in June, just a few months ago, she passed away unexpectedly. She had a stroke, and we lost her. And she's always been a huge inspiration for me. And now that she's gone, right, it really just makes you reflect even more. Um, but so many have been such great examples. I thought this was really cool. I was at Soldier Hollow with my daughter watching her race varsity this year, and she did awesome. I think she came in third that day, and it was so cool to be standing there watching these riders come in and to see Andy Compass on his crutches walking up to one of the riders that he coaches and giving her a big hug, right? Like you could tell he was in pain and just struggling to be there. But to just see him hugging this athlete, I thought that's what it's all about, right? Like totally forgetting himself and just he's and Andy's been a big example, right? I've loved just watching him. I loved his podcast, and so many other guys on the team that I've looked up to. But I think my obviously my mom's my biggest, but
Yeah.
lots of people.
Dude, great Andy Compass story. There's hundreds of those. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, when you look back, right, and you're talking to young Greg, he's 21 and he's about to ride the MS ride. Any advice that you'd give to young Greg, if you had to do the last 20 years over?
I would just say it's all gonna work out, right? It seems like when you're at that age, you stress so much over how is this all gonna play out, right? What am I gonna do for a career? How am I, how much time do I put into biking, right? How do I balance all of it? And you just do your best.
Hmm.
And I think if you're focused on helping people, things work out. And I love the analogy of the open fist, the open having your hand open. This comes from Dave Ramsey when he says, if you go through life with your hand open as if you're giving rather than keeping everything in, uh, things just go for you. And I love, I think that's one of the awesomest things I've seen with our team is the giving.
Yeah.
And when somebody needs help, it's so fun to see everyone jump in and either contribute or the comments. I think that part's awesome. But I would just tell myself it's all about people. Go give of yourself, and it's going to work out. Things are going to be okay.
That's cool. Well, Greg, it's fun because I mean, as a winner, right, of Loaded Jet, but yet your favorite thing is to pull people. Do you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
those
yeah,
those two things to outsiders might feel contradictory. It's like, well, no, I got to win. But then when you say, well, my favorite thing is to actually be on the front to pull, and it is
yeah,
a kind of the opposite, but I agree
yeah.
with you. Yeah, very cool.
But I will say this. in Loaded, as soon as I get to the canyon heading up Snake River,
Uh-huh.
like the polling does take a different meaning of I am going to destroy you and I'm going to make you die till we get to
Yeah,
the finish line.
I love that,
And
dude.
so anyway.
I don't want to be in your group. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. All right, man. Well,
uh,
what's next? What's ahead for you? Next couple months, next year? Are you any big plans or anything new you see coming up going on?
really looking forward to Zwift in the winter
Don't
months.
say it, Greg.
I
No.
know, I know, I know. I hate riding inside, but at the same time, I love it.
I
I
agree.
love the camaraderie that you get with it. I think that's really fun. Being in Utah County, right? I don't. It's tough to ride with. It's hard to find guys that will get out and ride early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I find the team on Zwift is just a lot of fun. Um, I do look forward to one day. My biggest dream is the Tour Divide going from
Mm.
Alberta down to Mexico. My
No,
my dad's from Canada, from Alberta. I love being up there, and man, that would be so fun to do a ride that's going to take, I don't know, a couple weeks. I don't know how long it would take me, but that would be a wild, wild ride, the Tour Divide.
man, look at this. So 2,745 miles.
Yeah.
They raced
Along
it
the
on
Continental Divide.
June 14th. Oh my goodness. There are no prizes for finishing. Dude, that's in like you want to do this. You want to do this right.
Oh, I would love to do it. With work, I get a 4 week sabbatical. And if I can make it work sometime to
Yeah.
do that and get that right in, man, that would be like a dream come true.
A self-supported racing. How cool is this? All right. I'm game. I'm down for this.
Come on, who else? Let me know who else on the team wants to do it, and
You should
we'll
put your wife on a tandem, see if she'd do it with you on the back.
she would kill me.
Yep. Well, you
Oh.
said that was your perfect day, so let's do it.
Yeah, yeah. My speaking of the perfect day in tandem, my daughter, she's a senior this year, and her next big thing is she wants to do Loaded on a tandem with
With
me.
with you. Oh, you've
With
got to
me,
do it.
right?
Oh, I can't wait for
And
this.
so yeah, no, we're talking buying a bike and getting that going for next
Okay.
year. So we'll see what happens. That would
When she,
be awesome.
this is my problem. If she does it, team will provide that kit for her. This has to happen. You guys have to do it
Yes,
together. Yes.
yes. Awesome. Sounds
I
great.
I want to see father daughter together on a tandem at Loaded. That would be so
Yes.
fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. That's the plan.
Dang, that's cool if she wants to do that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
Very fun.
she's you know that yeah, she's awesome. Love her.
All right, Greg. Anything else? And I miss anything or anything? Any final parting words?
I just appreciate all that you're doing, Stu, with the team. I'll never forget riding behind you that very first time and seeing Mi Duele
Mhm.
and just thinking, I speak Spanish. I served in Peru as a missionary. And I remember thinking, I don't know exactly what that means, but it's really close to me duele,
Mm.
which it hurts. And I just thought, man, this means something for me. I love it. It's okay that it hurts. And I think that just applies through life, right? Things are going to hurt, but we just move forward and
Yeah,
we keep going. And so
yeah.
I just totally appreciate what you've done, letting me be a part of the team and the relationships that have come from it. I'm just super grateful.
Oh, thanks, Greg. I mean, it's when I do these little interview podcasts, right? It's like you go on a ride and you meet someone and you're like, dude, you I don't know you, and this is so cool to get to know someone, and it's that's why I love doing this, so people can meet you and see how awesome this team is because of all the individual guys that make up how special it is. So I appreciate
Yeah.
you, Greg, and your willingness to share today, and dude, and your flipping exam just crushing people at Loaded. That's what we want. That's what we need more of is guys that
Oh,
are crushing Snake River Canyon and
oh man. I
so
love it. And it's so fun to fly the Mi Duole colors during Loaded Gen. Total honor.
Especially when they're neon. Actually, you guys wore white. You guys wore the
white.
We
went with the whites. Yeah. Just something special about those whites. Love them.
All right, Greg. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing today.
You bet. Thanks, man. We'll see you.